So does your film work, Nacho?
It's a tricky question for the author of the film because at some point it works for me totally. But I'm pretty aware that I am the worst guy on earth able to judge my own stuff because I have no perspective. It's like trying to judge a game from inside the ball. It's totally impossible. So it works for me, but at the same time I will die without knowing properly if it works.
What are you trying to communicate with your film?
What am I trying to communicate with my film? I don't work in terms of message or in terms of specific things I have to tell to the audience, because I think I have this, you could call religious feeling towards art. I think that movies are more intelligent and more clever than authors, than people behind the camera. And I think that the movie, if it's saying something, it's saying something that I don't need to be fully aware of. So it's like some people may say that in that case, that I don't know what I'm talking about every time I make a movie. What I'm saying is that once a movie attracts you as an author, and you let that movie express through yourself, you're just being a vehicle for the movie, and I don't feel I need to talk. I'm sorry. I think I don't need to talk instead of her. When I say her, I mean the movie. So yes.
So do you feel your films work on a more subconscious state, or when you're working with them?
It's like falling in love with someone. When I fall in love with a project and I made it, it's difficult for me to say why am I focusing on that project. It's like when I fall in love with someone, I can't explain properly with words why I'm in love with that person. And the same with the movie. I think it's the same situation with every artist when he deals with any piece of art. Just in love, and your consciousness is just part of the thing, just part of the deal. I think you're working in many levels and you're not aware of them.
How did your love affair start with Open Windows? When was the first wink or date or kiss with this film? I said, when did your love affair start with Open Windows? When was the first date or kiss or wink with this project?
This movie started I started flirting with this movie when the producer asked me to make a movie about. They just asked me to make a thriller in which the internet had a really big importance on screen. They wanted the social media to be a key element of the plot, and I just asked it in return something more edgy, which was making a movie that took place all the time on the screen of a computer. I was attracted to that idea mostly because I love to work on the edge, and I love the feeling of not being totally sure about what you're actually making. So yes, if I make a movie and I don't know exactly what is waiting for me at the other side, I'm more excited. So yes, I just started falling in love seriously with this movie when I decided to make the whole movie in front of a computer screen.
How did Elijah Wood become attached to this project?
He was a friend of mine. He's still a friend of mine. Sorry.
That's
sorry
good.
For my English. We are friends, but when I wrote the story, I was thinking of him all the time as the main character, because the main character of this movie, the protagonist, he's something that is fragile, something who is weak and a little creepy. But it hides some kind of energy, some dark energy that gets revealed through the movie slowly, and I think Elijah is perfect for that kind of role. But I only decided to show him the project when the movie was built and totally financed. I really wanted to use him as a way to make the project believable or plausible. So yes, it's as simple as that. We are friends, but at the end of the day, the process has been the everyday process. You show a script to an actor, and if he loves it, he gets involved.
How are you involved with the interface design with the film, which plays throughout all the windows and web and technology?
The device we're using when we told this story is something that really meant to go into. When I was writing the script, I went into writing hell. When we were shooting, we were into shooting hell, and post-production became post-production hell, because this device is closely related to the plot. So the device is not just the rhetoric of the movie, it's also the plot of the movie. It gets totally involved. For example, every time a window opens on a screen, every time we get to see another point of view through this window, there's a narrative reason behind. There's a narrative reason that behind the appearance of this new window and the position on the desktop, the virtual desktop. So yeah, it's kind of confusion when I explain to it, and it's been really complex. Maybe too complex. I wish I never did something as complicated as this ever. I don't want to complicate my life this way again.
Why did it become so complex? Did it become complex during the writing process, or during the shooting process, or during editing?
All the process were really complicated. The writing was especially complicated because I had to justify anything that happened on screen. Not only what happens on the screen, but the way we see it. It has to be really plausible, and it had to have a meaning. So yeah, it's been the most complicated thing I've ever done.
So when we were talking a bit before, you were talking about the idea that you feel this film, whether it works or not for the audience, you feel that it might have longevity. We're talking about the idea that art lasting beyond the artist, and that's sort of what you're going for with your work.
Yeah, basically, I don't enjoy the way my movies get released. I don't. So far, I haven't enjoyed the way movies interact with audiences at the time they are released. But I really enjoy the way they age. So for some reason, I don't understand the things I do. I don't know, somehow resist the test of time. But I wish this movie to work at the moment it's shown for the very first time. I wish. I actually need it. I need this movie to work at this moment.
Why?
Because as a filmmaker, I need to get credit. That sense, it's as simple as that. The next time I make a movie, I want money people to know that I'm able to talk to an audience in a successful way. The same day I release a movie.
What are filmmakers that influence you? Or even writers, even.
Even writers. I spent all my life, since my really early childhood, reading comic books, reading novels, horror novels, reading, poetry. I really like horror films. I really like, comedies. I have been influenced by so many things that, sometimes I'm not able to put a list of all my influences, because I'm all made by influences. There's nothing in myself which is not an influence of from someone else. And I think even people who are not big names, but people close to me, have really influenced me. My other friends who make movies, they also influence me the same way. A big name could influence me, because they are close to me, and I can ask them which kind of challenge they face every time they make a movie. So those challenges are close to mine. So yes, I've been highly influenced by my friends. Obviously by people like, Alfred Hitchcock, of course. So it's complicated for me to make a list.
Do you see a huge difference between what comes out of sort of like American cinema and Latino cinema when it comes to sort of like the pageantry of sort of like the Catholicism that you see in their work, the good versus evil, the love of monster in their cultures that exist already, Aztec imagery that you see sort of in Mexico, or even when we were talking about like literature like George Borges and fantastical realism that you see in a lot of Jodorowsky's work?
I don't feel significant cultural differences between movies from, I don't know, South America against North America, or Europe versus America. I don't think the cultural
based on the iconography and the symbolism that these different cultures have.
At some level, of course, there's a lot of differences between Mexican movies and Spanish movies and American movies. But I think that in a deep level, the big differences appear when you compare mainstream stuff against independent stuff. Mainstream Mexican films, they are not as different as Spanish mainstream films, or I don't know, even Japanese mainstream films. I think the difference comes when every author, when every individual is able to express by itself with no pressure from the money. So that's for me the key in all stuff.
So you feel without money, culture starts to even out, and horror starts to talk about one particular thing, or just sort of like a pattern of things.
I always like to talk to people. I love to tell this to young people who want to make movies. Low budget can be a limitation, but I think it's also a privilege. Low budget means that you are free to express in terms that mainstream filmmakers are unable to. I think that's for me the treasure, because it's if low budget is a key to make something unique and something that, I don't know, maybe in 1 year or maybe in 500 years, the unique element in your movies can shine. I don't know, transform things.
So you believe in the transformative sort of elements of art and film?
It should be. I don't make movies. I think no one makes movies just to leave the world the same. Even if you are aware that you are not going to change anything with your movies, I think that is the impulse, that is the motto.
What are you trying to change? What do you want us to think about?
I don't know. I don't want to feel pretentious. But for example, in the case of,
or you can talk about all your films, like Time Crimes.
In the case of Open Windows, for example, I wanted to approach a scene we've seen in many horror films before, which is the moment when a girl is forced to get naked and gets sexually assaulted and everything. I wanted to do that scene again, but I wanted to approach that situation from a totally different angle to see what happens. And I want to subvert the triangle of the villain, the hero, and the girl. I wanted to, I don't know, make something significant in that sense, but let's see if it works.